Greetings, everyone. This is Jahi Far again, and I'm creating this video to provide some information in regards to cooked foods versus raw foods. Okay, cooked foods versus raw foods and their benefits, and then pretty much their outcomes. Okay, um, I came across some information, I think roughly like 5 or 6 years ago, regarding the benefits of cooked foods and raw foods. And I just came across the same information again, I think it was yesterday. And it kind of like rejuvenated my thinking in terms of why we should consume more raw foods, especially melanin dominated people of color. Of course, all people, but most importantly, people of color. There was some research done, and it was done by a physician, a doctor by the name of Francis M. Pottenger Jr. Francis M. Pottenger Jr. And he's a doctor, a physician. And at the turn of the 20th century, he did some research on cats in regards to cooked foods and raw foods. And over the span of roughly like 2 decades or a decade and a half, he researched over something like almost 1,000 cats, right? And what he did was he had one set of cats where he fed them a raw food diet consisting of raw milk, of course, raw meaning milk that comes straight from either the goat or the cow or another cat. He fed them raw milk and raw meat, meaning milk fresh cut, not cooked, okay, raw meat. And then he had another category of subset of cats where he fed cooked meat and cooked milk. And cooked milk is pasteurized, processed milk, milk that is made to look good or smell as we think being good, a good smelling milk. But it's pasteurized and it's cooked, and it really is plastic. But not to get into that again. These particular subset of cats were fed cooked foods, cooked milk and cooked meat, while the other cats were fed raw milk and raw meat. Okay, and the results were 5 basic categories, being the health of the body, the cognitive ability of the cat, the sexual reproduction, the fourth generation results of eating those diets. And then hold up, there was one more. Role confusion. So I'm going to read it again. I'm just going to read it out to make sure that I have it straight. The results from the research was the body health, disorientation or cognitive ability, protection of the family, role confusions, and then the fourth generation after consuming that diet. Okay, and what Dr. Pottinger found was as follows. In terms of the category of the health of the body, for the cats that were fed the raw diet, consisting again of raw milk and raw meat, mainly, but other things in particular being of a raw nature, but mainly 90% mainly being of raw milk and raw meat. So the results for the healthy body was that the cats had shiny fur, shiny lustrous fur. They had no parasites, no bacteria infestations. They had their growth and development was great. They were very energetic. What else? They had good teeth structure. Okay, good eye sockets. So again, their bone structure was good, and again, they were very energetic. So for the other cats that were fed the cooked diet, the cooked diet consisting of the cooked milk and the cooked meat, they had very dull fur, meaning their fur was like a very grayish tin, and then some of their fur was falling out, and they had patches all over the body. Another thing, their bone structure was horrible. It would easily break, and they had very soft bones. And then they had an infestation of parasites and an overflow of bacteria. Also, they had a lot of diseases such as asthma, cancer, and again, having that infestation of parasites. Okay, so that was the body health relating to the cooked food and the raw food. The second category was disorientation, and in terms of disorientation, they looked at that by testing when you toss the cat, not throw a cat, but just toss the cat probably like a foot away. Would it land on its feet, okay, or would it land on its back? Now, for the section of cats, or the category of cats that was fed the raw diet, they always, 90% chance, always landed on their feet. Their cognitive ability was there. They were in tune with their body, so they always landed on their feet. However, the cats that were fed the degenerative diet, meaning the very cooked and processed meat and milk, always landed on either his back or probably on his head. So they were very disoriented, okay? And that was the second category, second results of the cooked food diet. The third category was the protection of family. And this is a good one. This is a good one. The category of cats that were fed the raw diet were more willing, capable, and able to protect their family. They were more aware of the protection of their family, and they were more adept in being responsible when it came time to feeding their cats, or the mother nursing the cats, the kittens. She was able to do so. Now, and again, on the other hand, for the cats that were fed this degenerative diet of cooked milk and cooked meat, were very irresponsible. They didn't have enough energy really to take care of the kittens, so they let the kittens do do them. And in most cases, the kittens were neglected, and in some cases, older cats were, because they were neglecting cats, were killing cats. You understand what I'm, or killing kittens. Okay, so that was the third category, which was the protection of the family. The role confusion, which was the fourth category in the result of this research. The role confusion. Now, for the cats that were fed the raw diet, their roles were pretty much in sync. The male did male things, the female continued to do female things. And it's of note that the female body stayed structurally in tune with female with that of a female cat, such as, and the male body stayed continued to develop as a male cat body would. That's of importance, very important right there. And in regards to the cats who were fed the degenerative diet, okay, the cooked meat, the cooked milk, were disoriented again, and their roles began to change. The males became very docile. Okay, they weren't there again to protect their family, but also they just became very docile. They didn't care about the family. Okay, they showed that they weren't of any kind of help towards the family. This is the male cat, and then his body began to degenerate. Okay, he wasn't that of a male cat. The female, she became more aggressive. She took on that of the male role. Of course, she's always there to protect her kittens, but she became even more aggressive, okay? Probably because the male wasn't there to do his job. It's funny, but hey, this is the research. And also, her body began to change, physiologically change, meaning from generation to generation, to that of a male cat. Wow, that is important, just by the diet. Just by the diet. And the fifth and final category, which was the result of this research done by Dr. Pottenger, was the fourth generation results. So that means after the first generation was fed a particular diet, second, third, and then the fourth was what was the result. For the cats that was fed the raw milk and raw meat diet, they continued to thrive. they continue to be cats in every way of a cat should be. Their cognitive abilities was there. Their ability to protect the family, their energetic abilities were still there in the fourth generation and thus forth. However, on the other hand, the cats that were fed the degenerative diet consisting of the cooked milk and the cooked meat were having cats in the fourth generation who were either born stillborn as they call it, meaning they died through the process of having the baby, or coming through the canal of the mother cat, or once it was born, after 6 months, it died. Or when it was born with such degenerative diseases that it was just like a non-functioning cat and couldn't reproduce itself. Okay, so those 5 categories, or the results of those, that research sounds very similar to a lot of issues that we are suffering from today. Like a lot of issues, role confusion, um, cognitive ability, disorientation, protection of the community. All of those roles seem to be the same thing that particularly African Americans are going through today, especially in the United States. But I'm seeing that if you look at other countries where people are also different people, different cultures, different races are having the same degenerative diet of predominantly cooked foods, they also are suffering from the same results. The asthma, the cancer, the disorientation, the lack of protection for family and friends, the destruction of the community, the destruction of different children that they have, meaning they having children with different degenerative diseases. So, and it's like if I didn't say that the research was done on cats, we would automatically have assumed that that research was done on human beings, because we're getting the same results from eating a cooked food diet versus a raw food diet. Okay, now me personally, I'm not going to eat or drink raw milk. And I don't think most people out here is going to eat raw meat and raw milk. Because one, it's not as pleasant to the senses. It doesn't smell as good. You understand what I'm saying? It's raw. Okay, so it'll be pretty much hard for us to switch to a raw milk and a raw meat diet. However, it's much easier to switch to a raw fruit and raw vegetable diet, okay? And it's pretty much going to have that same outcome, maybe even better, again, for the human beings, okay? Very important information, I believe, to pass out there, to get out there to people to know that, man, if you're not going to consume your milk and your meat raw, then it's best to stay with vegetables and fruit and stay away from that cooked milk and cooked meat. And I'm not going to say be totally 100% away from cooked foods, but at least balance it out to where as though it's with every meal that you eat, you have some raw vegetable or fruit available to consume. Okay, I think that's the most important part that I want to get out there. Whatever meal you eat, consume some kind of raw vegetable or fruit with it. I think that will help, again, lower some of those degenerative diseases that are guaranteed to happen if we continue on this cooked food diet that we continue to consume. I think that's very important as well. Also, I think it's worth noting to put out there, a lot of our European brothers and sisters, I hear them when I'm at restaurants getting their like burgers and steak and stuff medium rare. Did you ever take note of that? Medium rare. They had some information that a lot of African Americans just don't understand, because all African Americans ask for food, especially meat. I want it cooked. I want it done. Killing all of the life in there. There's no life after you burn it or get it Cajun style. So We have to think about that. Okay, if you're not eating it raw, then you're not getting any nutrients. You're simply getting waste into the system. Okay, now I have to also point out that even though all cultures, be it Asian, European, African, eat cooked foods, why is it that African Americans and Africans in general tend to have the highest of all diseases? Why is that? We have to take into account that we are alike as human beings, but we are slightly different because of our color and complexion, meaning we have more carbon in the body, okay? And we have to adjust our diet based off of our minute differences, no matter how small, because the difference between a black man and a white man may be less than 0.1%, okay? However, there is a difference there, and that difference has to be taken into account in terms of health, okay? So because we are melanin dominated people, meaning we have more carbon in the body, that requires more oxygen. And the only way you receive more oxygen is through raw fruits, raw vegetables, raw foods. Okay? Wanted to point that out. As always, all questions, comments, concerns are welcome. I hope that this information was insightful. Thanks for your time. Have a great day. Bye.